All right, so I've been teasing this deck profile for the past week, and I've been showing you guys some of the combos. And one of the combos, I implemented the Centur-ion cards and what they help facilitate. It's mainly to cover the NIBIRU weakness within the SD line, because what I want to do as consistent as possible is find a way to make Excel Synchro First Dragon and then Synchro Summon Speeder with its effect to make this immune. Because it's very difficult to play around that, to interact with this type of sequence. Because for one, they have to contemplate negating this, right? Assuming they have one Veiler or one Mourner or one Imperm, which then means that puts them on 2 hand traps, because by then you'll have the Adventure token and the Jet Synchron engrave, right? And so they have to decide whether it's worth it. And obviously, if they imprint this, then you're perfectly fine, because you mainly want to make sure that this goes unhindered, right? So that's the whole process of how the deck is being built. Reason why there's so many level 7s to facilitate this guy. Because once you get to this point and he resolves, Nibiru is not an issue. But the issue is when the Nibiru on his effect, which is the devastating thing about this line. You activate effect, you'll have your right and your Jet Synchron, and you get Nibiru'd, and you're like, oh crap, the Nibiru. Okay, so what can we do past that, right? And that's where the Centur-ion cards come into play, where it's an insane follow-up, because you get Calamity Lock, not just Calamity Lock, you get a Blazar to protect your Calamity Lock setup, which is huge. And that's what I really like about it. But I didn't do so great at locals. My hands were like really bad. I kept drawing Griffin, Draco back, and I kept drawing Ev, Assault, Jet 4 times. Like that same card variation. Halberd, like how? It just didn't make any sense. I was like, oh my god, what? And the times I drew the Centurion cards, that's the only reason I was able to win, because it ended up going Calamity Lock anyway. So I was like, oh, so it's not the Centurion cards. It's just one of those days where you just draw really, really bad. I was like, what the? If I was drawing like Centurion cards and losing because of them, then I'd be like, okay, maybe that's not the way. But every single time I saw the Centurion cards, they helped me get out of that bricky situation, which was like, so that's not the issue. What is the issue? Was it can't be helped. Like drawing Draco back, drawing Griffin, you can't really do anything about that. It's really annoying. But you just keep it in mind that the main objective is getting to this, right? To make sure that it goes unhindered. Because this automatically will eat a hand trap, because they're going to make sure, oh, well. So you have your first 7s, you have your triple Fenrir, right? This helps you go for SD. This and Overtake. It's really, really good. It gets you your Junk Servant line, where you open up a 2-card combo variation that isn't Adventure and Synchron. So this is another card variation that can do something similar. Get you access to a 7 and a 4. And it's the non-tuner self-sufficient card, which is pretty good. It's just Fenrir. Special summon it, search another copy. Threats in battle phase, use the effect, spot removal. It deals with things by itself, which is what you want with the Synchron deck, because a Synchron deck is only as good as its non-engine, right? Because the Synchron is like a weaker part of the deck, but the issue with the self-sufficient non-tuner engine is that their ceiling is too low, right? They don't do enough, so that's where the Synchron come in to elevate it, right? And then, of course, you have your Wanderer package, your Triple Witch, same principle, right? You use this to get to SD. This paired with Adventure, it's just even better, because it lets you keep your Omni while doing the SD line, so you're not vulnerable to that Nibiru drop, which is huge. But primarily, it's meant to be there to facilitate SD. And it being able to draw a card is pretty huge as well. And then, of course, you have your Adventure stuff. Triple Enchantress, Griffin, Rights, Fateful, go back, and of course, your Fool's Burial. I just kept drawing these two way too often. These were hand traps instead of, like, oh my god, it would have been so much better. But like, what can I do? It's like, can't do much about it. And then, of course, you have your Synchrons, right? You have your Double Star Synchron. You have your One Revolution Synchron. You have your Assault Synchron. And, of course, your Double Jet. I tried to get away with one, but you just can't. You can't. You need one to summon off Overtake, and you need one to summon off OSS. Otherwise, you're going to be in a situation where like, you have to use one over the other. You have to use this one before you use the Overtake. Otherwise, this is pretty much dead. Summoning it off Junk Speeder's effect just comes up a lot. Just being able to climb with it, it's just so crucial. And then, of course, you have your Overtakes. More access to Synchron. This and Fenrir helps you get combo. Another 2-card variation. Because you want as many 2-card variations as possible, because it's a higher card count deck. Because it's hard to fit all these other cards with no room for non-engine, right? Because you want to be interactive as well. So you have to increase the card durations apart from just Ride and Jet, right? So that's why you implement these guys, because then this and this works, so does this. And then of course you have your Synchro Rumble, you have your Illumination, and of course these are like your extenders post speeder and higher the ceiling of these two combined, right? Because like the non-tuners, they don't really do much on themselves. Like they can manage, but not consistently enough, right? So that's why you need the Synchrons. But then sometimes you need this to take you even further, and that's where these come in, right? So it's like another layer to increase the deck ceiling, which is quite useful based on utility, right? Because there are times where you do draw this, and it's like, oh, I can probably do something with that. Hard opening this sometimes is beneficial. This, you need this for the 2-card variation, where you open up Fenrir and Overtake, or you open up Witch Overtake, because sometimes they do imprint this sometimes. You summon this, they imprint like Overtake, go into SD, search this for Jet's effect. And that's very important for the deck's resiliency. And then this is where you have the Centur-ion package. If you haven't watched the combo guide yet, go and check it out, and then it'll all make sense. So you have 1 Gargoyle, 1 Primera, 1 Trudea, and then of course, double field spell. I was initially playing 3 because I really liked what opening up this and Stardust does, because Stardust is like the least Synchrons that compare with the entire deck. It doesn't really do much. But now that you play this, it actually accomplishes quite a bit. It sets up your Blazer Calamity Lock with just these 2. And that's like, oh, that's pretty cool. And the fact that you can use this as a non-tuner access is huge, because you activate effect, you place, right? You go this, activate effect. You don't place this, you place this, because it becomes a double non-tuner access, which is huge. So you place this, you summon itself, you can choose to make it level 4 or keep it at level 8, and then that's your speeder there, right? And you can chain block if you turn to play around an Ash, because you go chain 1 speeder, chain 2 Jet, or chain 3 with this, or you don't have to use Jet effect, you just chain with this, because this gets added back to your hand, which is pretty nice. And then you can add it back to your hand and then send something else and then summon it again, and it can be another level 8 non-tuner body, which is huge. It's a dragon, you can make the spatter with it, which is something that kept coming up a lot. But you just go ahead and check out the combo guide, and it'll make much more sense. And then of course you have your non-engine. You have your triple Ash, triple Mourner, thank you Yoshi, triple Veiler, and of course triple Infinite Impermanence. So you want to try it and be as interactive as possible, because you have so many 2-card combos that you can open up 3 hand traps and then hopefully draw your 2-card combos, right? Because like, let's say you don't play this, right? It'll be 38 cards because it's 50 cards. So with 38 cards, you have 2 more cards. Like, that's not enough for non-engine. One thing that this deck struggles with is keeping a non-tuner on field. And then that's where you fall apart, right? Because you need to have like, something to synchro with the Synchrons with, right? Because these are meant to be there to synchro with this to then sequence off. But since this is so vulnerable, you have these as other options to synchro climb, right? With SD preferably. But since you hire the card count, you have to above 40 card deck, which is it makes sense for this particular deck. Not every deck can get away with this, and not every deck is required to do so. But this deck in particular, it can benefit from it, which is what I like about this. And then you have the extra deck, right? You have the extra deck. Of course, you have your tokens, of course. You have your Crimson Dragon, of course. You have your Oxala, which is huge. Your King Calamity, Blazar, your Dispatter. I tried something different this weekend, and I think I regretted it. Because there's a lot of times where Punisher came up and SMSD came up, and I just didn't have it in my extra deck. But for this event, I was like, let me go a little bit more toolboxy as well. If you guys watch K-Mon's deck profile, he went that route as well. It was a bit more toolboxy and didn't really focus on the boss monsters. And what that does is it allows you to pivot a bit better into boards going second, right? Because the moment you get interacted with, you can't really go all the way to maybe to him. You can't get it. So all these slots are basically blank. But if you had like cards like this, where you can climb from your 7 to your 8 to your 10, you know, gradually get to it and then pick your board apart after you've simplified the game state with your hand traps. That's one way to approach it as well. But I don't know. I did miss the Punisher for sure. It was just something I was trying, just the toolboxy route. But yeah, I think if I would have kept the Punisher and the SMSC, I think I would have been better off. But it's just the extra is just so tight. The fact that you have to make room for this, because you need this to be able to do the protected Calamity setup. Otherwise, I wouldn't want to do Calamity setup if it wasn't with this, because then it's so vulnerable. It just like make you miss timing, and it's like I want to avoid that. But I show you guys the combo and the deck and the combo guide. Go ahead and check that out, and then it'll make much more sense. But that's basically it. Maybe you guys will have much more luck than me, but like, I was just drawing like really bad. And it wasn't because of the cards I implemented, right? It wasn't because of this. The times I did do well when I saw this was because I saw this. I was like, oh shit, this actually saved me. And then just drawing the Draco back, the Griffin, the Fateful, drawing all the Synchrons. I drew this 4 times like this. Just like what the hell? Like, it was just really like frustrating. I was like, what the hell? And the last 2 NIBIRU, I was like, oh my god, it's so bad. But it's basically the deck profile. I know a lot of you guys have been waiting for it, but go and test it out. Hopefully you don't have as bad luck as I do. Maybe just cursed. And something is just telling us not to mix these 2 together. But from a 3 perspective, I think it does the deck a bit of benefit. And that's it. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Let's subscribe if you haven't. And thanks for watching.